Yo, this is a motherfucker who needs no introduction. You are watching Breaking Records Radio.
Now tuned in to Breaking Records Radio. My name is Alex Kuchma, and I have here with me New York-based MC, nephew of the legendary Chubb, fresh off his latest single, Just Listen. I'm talking, of course, about Senior G. What's good, my man?
Hey, what's good, brother? We woke up this morning, so that's all that matters.
100%. Man, everything's good on my end here. I said this at the beginning of the call, but I can't thank you enough for taking your time out of the day in order to speak to me today. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
I appreciate you and everyone else that along with MJ Hip Hop Connect for making this happen and take the village.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to MJ. So I wanted to center this conversation around just kind of getting to know you as an MC and as your kind of upbringing and where you kind of situate yourself with. Because I think a lot of the people that are listening at home, I think they would like mess with the music. They would like the music, but I don't think a lot of people really know your name. So just from, I know you have kind of roots, again, your uncle being Chubb, and that's something that's noteworthy. But yourself personally, what was your first introduction to hip hop culture? Not even necessarily injecting yourself into it, but just from a fan's perspective.
I mean, well, I not to date myself, but I'm from that era of when it kind of like first started, you know. And as a child, I liked music. You had groundbreaking groups like Run DMC, African Bambaataa. And LL Cool J from Queens that made it big, and then you had Mikey D, who's also from Queens. A lot of other there's from Queens that were local and known locally. It's just that their voices, talents have gone unheard and unknown globally for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I wanna say I first got into music around that time era, and as far as implementing it and applying it, literally, that was around about the age of 9, after the Tom Hanks movie Big came out many moons ago. I found myself trying to mimic chopsticks from the movie when they was in F.E.O. Schwartz playing the keyboard that was on the floor. And I was just kind of like listening to the notes and trying to, play it best I could until I got it right. So that's when it started happening as far as being creative and then wanting to make sound and stuff like that. Sure. I always used to beatbox, before I even knew who Dougie Fresh and before I even heard the show.
Yeah.
I was you know what I'm saying? So when I heard somebody that was actually doing it, I was like, oh, well, I know this, nothing new under the sun. So obviously listening to, influences from individuals like that. And then I started to take it more serious lyrically after a subsequent embarrassing moment in my 4th grade classroom. Shout out to Miss Bell if she's still breathing. If not, shout out to her lineage. She's the reason why, part of the reason why, rather, I'm here. And engineering-wise, that came to me after I had went to school, to the Institute of Audio Research in 2001, and went back on a scholarship in 2004 to take the digital programming, like Pro Tools, Digital Performer, Reason, stuff like that. The earlier digital DAW systems, but I was actually blessed and privileged. It was a privilege to actually have some engineering background still with 2-inch reel-to-reel tape. I've actually edited songs, analog, and stuff like that. So I can appreciate the sound itself in a record, and even though some of the music that we're going to be creating, it's going to sonically sound different. And I am intentionally doing that on purpose, to kind of like deprogram the eardrums of many individuals that have been subconsciously put under a spell of bad music.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, it's fascinating that that your upbringing into the culture was on such kind of an independent route, right? I'm sure you can end up giving credit to people like your teachers or the
Yeah,
school, etc. But
yeah.
it was yourself, and I think a lot of people when they hear a kind of a named, like a recognized name associated with you, like your uncle,
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
I think the immediate response to that is that he was your gateway into this in some sort of way. But what you're saying is that that's not really the case. It was an independent
No,
love
I
for
could
it.
clear that up right now. I mean, my uncle Chubbs, he's my uncle through my uncle Rob Springer. That's his brother.
Sure.
You know, that's what he's talking about, and you know, treat him right. You know, brother Rob Springer. That's what he's talking about. Um, those guys, they gave me influence and they gave me guidance based on. It's not like they sat me down a plethora of times and was like, you got to do this, you got to do that. I mainly learn by visually looking at things or hearing things, and I take pieces of what I feel I gravitate to naturally because
Sure.
that, to me, you know, on a spiritual level, I believe in energy. So if I feel some kind of way about it, something made me feel that way about it, something you know, gravitated me towards it. And then
Yeah.
just I've been influenced from all different kinds of people, you know, and take a little bit of, I think we all get influence from outside sources, whether it be consciously or subconsciously,
Yeah.
you know. But as far as being, you know, guided from some of these individuals, I've had stepping stones from each person, and which I'm very grateful for. But by the same token, I also had in my head, you know, I know what I wanted to do as far as my craft was concerned. And, you know, when you're a trailblazer and you're setting the rules, and you're setting the standards, you know, not everybody is going to agree with you. You know, no one agrees with you until you get it right. Then that's when everybody hops on board.
Yeah.
You know. So what I've been doing in respect to their talent, their experiences in our relationships, you know, business and family wise, because we can separate the two. I just think that it's a blessing. Like I said, just to be able to say, hey, you know what? I can come to any of these individuals and say, hey, look, this is what I've achieved thus far with the information that you've given me. Do you have any more advice? Versus, I need this done. Can you do this for me? You
Sure.
know, and that's just with anything. You know, everything is a business relationship. You know, you have to have something. You know, with especially nowadays, because everybody talks nowadays. You know, you can create something out of nothing nowadays, just like they do mortgages, you know, and people could just reinvent themselves, you know. So in order to be organic, this is just my personal opinion. In order to be organic and true to yourself, especially like I said, if you're a trailblazer, just take the necessary steps, take the necessary time, and things will happen when you need it to happen, not when you feel you want them to.
Yeah, that's fair. When you were growing up, so say you're 9 years old, you're listening to the show, Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, and you're falling in
Mm-hmm.
love with this thing for the first time. Did you know at that period of time that your uncle had that kind of status in the culture already, or was he just kind of your uncle?
No, no, because Treat 'em Right didn't come out into the '90s. The show came out in the '80s,
Sure.
and then you know with Rob Swinger from the production aspect of things, you know, part of the Track Masters, you know, they produced
Yeah.
Ill Street Blues. They produced, I believe, Ain't No Half Stepping. It's like it's just again, like I said, it's just a blessing to be connected to these individuals. For me, I look more so as that's my roots. That's my connection to what was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then with my own creativity, and then like I said, my own vision, it's using that as the guideline because we can't go back to that. You
Yeah.
know, no one has proven Einstein's theory yet, and I don't own a DeLorean. So until one of those two things happen, you know, I can just use it as a guideline and then say, this is what I feel hip hop should be,
Yeah.
because this is why I got into it. You know, it's not about money per se. Yeah, that comes with it because you should be compensated. But if that's your sole focus for doing it, then you're in the wrong business. Just start another company or something. There's plenty of things you can do to just get money. But something like this, you know, yeah, you're talented. Yes, you can be compensated for, but you have a huge responsibility as a voice. You become a pastor to the masses, you know, where we're able to spread knowledge, you know, and it just seems like the knowledge that has been spread for decades is been genuinely negative.
Yeah, I like
When
that
you
train
look
of
at
thought
the,
in terms of
you know what I'm
the artist
saying?
carrying responsibility. When you go to audio school, then in the early 2000s, there's obviously a long kind of period before you decide to, obviously, and you can tell just by listening to the single that you've been writing. So that's apparent. There's practice, there's a skill set there that you've clearly developed over a period of time. But
Thank you.
there's clearly a difference in mentality when you decide, hey, I'm ready to start putting some of this stuff out. I want to release the music. I want to start kind of growing that fan base organically. At what point in time do you start to realize, hey, I want to take on that responsibility that you're talking about and incorporate that in my life?
I mean, well, to be honest with you, I took that responsibility on in childhood. I've been told since single digits from my elders of different walks of life that I've had an old soul. I've always been able to command respect of my elders, you know, and I've had this mentality a very long time, you know, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity now, because when I was younger, still young minded, even though we're all still young now,
Sure.
but being younger mentally, you know, and wanting things versus needing things, you know, I'm very grateful with even all the experiences that I have, trials and tribulations, the lessons, not losses, because they're lessons, the people that I'm connected to, all of those are all great things. But I wouldn't change the process as far as what I went through to where I'm at now, because then I wouldn't appreciate where I'm at now as much as I do.
Gotcha.
You know? So yeah, the records, you know, you can make a record nowadays. It seems like the music nowadays is microwave. It's microwave music. You know?
Yeah.
It's
There's an abundance of it.
the furthest thing from organic. Everything is repetitive. Has pitch correction in it for the most part, you know. And when I speak on things, I speak on it from different dynamics as a producer, as someone who actually understands tonality, sonic, sound, wavelengths from an engineering point of view. You know, it's not. I just truly feel that the more music that GSP Music Mixing produces, CUG makes, and the more music along new age hip hop that gets produced, people will be able to clearly see that there is a difference, you know, and the reason why it exists is because, so therefore it could be no doubt that there is a difference.
So when you're writing then and improving your skill set, what changes from that practice and that endeavor to actually wanting to put some of that material out then? If you've carried that responsibility on your chest all the way through life, what's the difference now in the last, say, few months compared to a few years ago?
I mean, well, again, there was all different kinds of trials and tribulations, unforeseen circumstances with some of my assets in my portfolios, you know, and from a business perspective, from an entrepreneurship perspective, you know, things happen. And then life, you know, you know, the more seasoned that you get in life, the harder things become to do, especially if you're a responsible person.
Yeah.
innocent souls to look after that didn't ask to be here. So with that being said, you know, so taking care of our responsibility and at some point, I truly believe in the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. You know?
Yeah, and you're doing it correctly, right? You got a publicist. You seem to be putting in the effort that's required in order to make a career of this.
Yeah.
What do you see in terms of your kind of vision for your own career? Where do you want to? I know you ended up just putting out the single, and you're promoting that and trying to get the buzz off of that.
Mhm.
But where does that lead us?
I mean, well, we're working on some new material. And after some bombshells that I had got from Cameron via the Drink Tramps about re-recording original records that you had some issues with prior labels with, now that statute of limitations has passed, it's like, oh, well, you know what? I like working smart, not hard. So I want to share with the world the original thought that got me to the position where I'm at. Because I feel like if I'm not doing that, I'm shortchanging the public. You know, they're gonna be like, okay, this sounds cool, but how did he get here? You know, I really don't want to have folks, you know, thinking, oh, this is just somebody just came out of nowhere again like everybody else. No, I'm far further than.
Yeah, I mentioned the word independent prior, and it seems like everything that you're telling me is a very kind of independent hustle all the way throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
Musically, are you approaching it in the same sort of way, or are you kind of affiliated with any kind of larger groups or cliques, or any sort of kind of sonic like templates or sounds or
Well,
that you're
I'm not necessarily affiliated with any groups or cliques per se. I mean, knowledge is infinite. You never stop learning. So I have reached out to some mentors as far as expanding my knowledge in areas of production, in areas of engineering, such as radium and pro sound mix, and Anthony Clint music, you know, for synchronization stuff. These folks are on the website. You know, everybody that has come across my path in the journey and has you know, has
cutting in and out a little
closer.
bit here.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
I was just saying, you know, anybody who has given me any type of information or guidance, you know, those people I have put as affiliates, because that's exactly what they are. Even if it was a one-time experience, at the end of the day, I believe in, you know, I'm just trying to show appreciation to the folks that's helping me perpetuate myself to higher plateaus than where I already was. You know, it truly takes a village. No one that has done anything great in this life, no one has done it by themselves. They've all had help from someone or something. That's just a fact.
Sure. When it comes to, I guess, logistics and putting out this album and crafting this album, I know you said that no one does it completely by themselves and you're reaching out to mentors, but are you handling the duties responsible for the album itself? Let it be, I assume, the writing, but also the engineering and the production. Are you doing all those?
I am taking in engineering, but I do have help because I need to have a set of unbiased ears involved. Even though I've been successful with being unbiased to myself, it does require a certain skill set and personality. However, in order to maximize any record's full potential, I have to bring other people in. Not just anybody, you know, it has to be people that I can relate to on a frequency level. You know, the records, the music that we make, we embody ourselves in the music. You know, there's more science involved in the regular science of engineering and records.
Yeah.
When it comes to a new age hip hop record, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I'm responsible for the initial everything. As far as the ideas and all that, I'm responsible for that. Because if I don't take responsibility and accountability for that and it doesn't happen, I can't point the finger at anybody. And why would you want to point the finger at anybody for something that you're trying to do, something that you said that you want to do for yourself?
Sure.
So I make sure that I'm on top of that. But then when it gets to a point where I need help, I humble myself and I do a little bit of research. Who is doing this already and that's successful at doing it? And I reach out to those types of individuals because they're already successful doing it. So whatever information that they give me is going to be beneficial, no matter how minuscule. I'm still going to get ahead than what I already was, you know, by principle.
Yeah.
And I just try to keep that mindset, keep it real simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know?
Yeah, 100%. We're gonna end up playing the new single on the radio. So people that are listening to this will end up hearing at least the new single. And again, for those listening at home, perhaps on or whatever, it's called Just Listen. You can check it out now. It's available on most major platforms. That said, the record that's coming out, the full length album, how representative is this single to the sound sonically of the rest of the album? What can we kind of expect in terms of sound on the album?
Well, in terms of sound, only thing I can tell you, sonically, every record more than likely will sound different because we embody ourselves into the music. And I'm a Capricorn, I'm capricious, sudden change. So it's going to be all over the place. I want it to be like that intentionally. Because who wants to listen to something and kind of like predict what it's going to be? You know what I mean? Just in general. And besides, I kind of like messing with people, you know, making sure you're on your toes. So I figured, you know what, let me do that audio-wise, you know, just to change things up a bit. Why does it have to be, who made these standards? Oh, it has to be like this, and you have to do an album like this, or you have to do an EP like this. No, I'm in control of my situation, and then when it comes to business relationships, I make sure two things. One, I always have 51% creative control, and two, I don't do business with people I already don't have vested interest in. Sure. That's counterproductive and non-conducive to my business model. You know?
Yeah.
So that right there is, I believe that right there is what separates me from a lot of people.
I think there's a couple different ways that you can end up having a diverse project, right? You can have a lot of different sounds on a record and still have it sound somewhat cohesive, somewhat mood setting. And then you can end up having something that sounds kind of messy. And I think that's what separates a lot of good albums from bad albums. You don't want it to sound the same all the way through. You don't want to have the listener be bored halfway through the project. So diversity and complexity, I think, is required. But at the same time, I do think that there's something to be said about cohesion. What are your thoughts on cohesion? Because I think having a diverse sound throughout an album can lead to multiple different conclusions. I just kind of want to see what your thoughts on that was.
Well, you know what? Now that you presented it to me from that perspective, I mean, I agree. I agree with it. But as far as the project that I'm working on, it's freedom of speech.
Sure.
The First Amendment. And while we still have a constant down here, because you guys are in Toronto, eh?
Yeah, Toronto.
Yeah, beautiful up there, you know. Down here, this just seems down here, things is different. And my philosophy is like, look, I'm already breaking the rules. Might as well break all of them. Like, I'm creating this. I'm the creator of it. I say what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that. Like, I'm not gonna. It's like no disrespect to anybody, but like, yo, wait a minute. How you gonna tell me what to do with my vision? You didn't fund it. You didn't. Where were you? But now it's like supporters. Your friends don't support you until it's convenient. Your biggest supporters are gonna come from that support like what you do genuinely.
You're starting to cut in and out again a little bit.
You know, so I'm sorry, probably, but it's as far as cohesiveness, it'll be cohesive, and then there might be parts of it that might feel like, wow, that's a little out of whack. But by the same token, that's what freedom of speech is.
Yeah.
When you're emotional about something and you didn't have your moment of clarity yet, and it's just spewing out, that's how it comes out.
Yeah. And
that's what nobody on the planet is non-susceptible to that. No one.
Fair enough. So the new single again is called Just Listen. Do we have a title or anything regarding like a release date or anything for the full length for what's coming next?
No, I don't have a release date for the full project, but what is coming next? We have a few songs on the table, ideas. The one is called Wake Up.
Okay.
That's a production I'm currently working on now. It's going to be featuring Trek the Classic. Another record we're going to have. It's going to be featuring Bass Origami, Bronx MC, and we have another record that's untitled. To be honest with you, and that's going to be featuring Reality Fly.
Oh man, it's exciting. Like I said, I listened to Just Listen. You can tell the growth that you've had over your life. I want to say career, and I keep wanting to say career, but yeah, as a relatively new MC kind of coming on the block, you can tell that you've had practice.
I'm new. To the masses, I'm new, which is fine.
Yeah.
You know, I have no problem doing that because that's just what it is. To the masses, who's this guy? You know what I'm saying? Which is fine, but they'll learn quickly.
But yeah, I'm excited for the new material that you have coming out. I like the new single. I like it a lot. And like I said, it's the type of music you end up playing. It's the type of music that you see behind me.
I see a lot of that behind you.
It's the type of shit that I end up listening to the most. So I'm excited to see what ends up coming next. Where can people stay up to date with you and the new music, and where can people follow what's coming out?
I try to keep it as short as possible. Anybody that wants to know anything about Senior G, just go to your favorite search engine and type in senior, like your last year in high school or college. Hit the space bar, GEE, and then hit enter.
I got the Midas Touch, everything I hold a touch combust to gold dust. You see me as a threat, but you don't need to sweat, cause your girl know I keep her wetter than a Chia pet. Be on the grind, Ain't nobody give a fuck when you're doing bad. Motherfuckers wanna hate when you're doing good. Hoping that this feeling doesn't stay. Getting drunk every day, waiting till it goes the fuck away. Then I wake up to another day just to face reality again. Cause the buzz of pain doesn't change a fucking thing. Nothing comes next, I wonder what's next. I used to be atheist, but now I just say fuck it, I'm blessed. Fuck it, I'm blessed. They say it's easier said than done, so I'm working till I get it done.